Who knows how you come across somebody once in a while you shouldn't have messed with. That's me.
I am not an African American.
You're Oreo cookie. White in the inside and black on the outside.
I don't have an afro. I have an Amerifro.
Talking that idiotic stuff you talk about, I will slap you.
Go ahead. Make my day.
Black as the ace of spades, but 100% American.
Heard around the world by everybody and their mama. The Jesse Lee Peterson Radio Show.
Uniting the races with truth instead of dividing them with lies. We're also rebuilding the family by rebuilding the man. I am Jesse Lee Peterson. Thank you so much for being with me. As you know by now, the Supreme Court is hearing arguments over same-sex marriage and Proposition 8 out of California. And a lot of folks are paying attention to see how this will end up. I have with me Lis Wiehl, Fox News legal analyst, former federal prosecutor, and the author of a brand new book, A Matter of Truth. And we're going to tell you how to get the book. Lis is a New York Times best-selling author, and you see her weekly on the O'Reilly Factor, Lou Dobbs Tonight, and more. Much more. Let me bring Lis in. I want to ask her about these two issues. Lis, good morning and welcome to the show.
Good morning, Jesse. Great to be with you.
Thank you. I appreciate you being here. Lis, you said that this issue that's in front of these issues that are in front of the Supreme Court is a real nail biter. Is what's at stake is a federal versus state law, equal protection, and tax enforcement. Can you explain that to us?
Sure. Let's go through it kind of day by day in the last couple of days.
Okay.
The first day on Tuesday, the Supreme Court launched in a historic gay marriage debate about Proposition 8. And just inform your listeners again, Proposition 8 was a law that was passed in California saying a marriage can only be between a man and a woman. Then the California courts got involved and said, no, that's not, you can't take away a right, because the whole reason this started is that Mayor Newsom in San Francisco and others said that gay marriage in California was legal. And that's Proposition 8 then came about, and so the court stepped in and said, no, you can't give a fundamental right and then take it away. And that's what got to the Supreme Court on Tuesday. The Supreme Court on Tuesday was very interesting, Jesse. I mean, they kind of went back and forth. They touched the merits of the case a bit,
yes,
but they were really much more on procedural grounds. Like, should we even be trying this case? Should we even be looking at this case? Maybe we don't have standing to have this case. If they go through with that, a very narrow ruling, that would mean that it gets tossed back to California, and the California court would hold sway, which would mean that gay marriage would be legal in California, but it would be limited to California.
Right. How is it that, and I often wonder about this, 60%, I believe about 60% of the voters in California said that a marriage is between one man, one woman.
Right.
How did they end up going against the voters to a point of having to go to the Supreme Court?
Well, because the California court stepped in and said, wait a second, you voters, you can't take a right away. This is what I'm not saying I agree or disagree. I'm just
right,
giving you the procedural background. Right.
Yeah.
You can't take away a right that was fundamentally guaranteed. So people got married under the law in California, and then you're taking that away, a fundamental right.
Oh, I see.
The court in California said, no, you can't do that. Even with Prop 8, you can't do that.
How do you think that's going to go in the court today, Supreme Court?
Boy, it's so hard. First of all, we're not going to hear probably until June. My guess is on both of these cases, they're so big that we're not going to hear until the very last day or day before they go away for for summer break. And
Right.
because one way or the other, they're going to make a lot of people mad. I mean, if they do nothing, they'll make people mad. If they do a big sweeping thing, they'll make people mad. If they, whatever they do, they're going to want to get this out of there and then just be on recess for a while.
If they should say that Proposition 8 is out and these people have the right to get married, is
Right.
it over then? The voters can't change it or anything?
Well, no, it's not. I mean, it would mean that the Supreme Court, if they did that, Jesse, what they'd be doing is they'd be saying, we're not even going to hear this right now. We don't have standing to
Oh,
hear
I
it.
see.
So they wouldn't rule. They wouldn't rule on the merits. If they got to that point, they wouldn't even rule on the merits. They'd just toss it back. We shouldn't have taken this case to begin with. And so it goes back to California. Then what would happen then is the law would stand as is until maybe this happens again, where another Proposition 9 or 12 or 14 would happen. If that were to happen, maybe that California voters would say, that's it, we're just leaving that alone.
I personally think that there should be a state issue anyway. I think the state should decide on this and, the voters of those states.
Well, that's where you get back to what happened yesterday, the Defense of Marriage Act, and that's what a lot of the, some of the justices were saying, shouldn't, as Justice Roberts said, as soon as one state adopted same-sex marriage, the definition of marriage throughout the federal code had to change. In other words, maybe it should just all be a state issue. Sotomayor said, you're saying that in New York, married couples are different from Nebraska's? So what they're hinting at is maybe this should be a state issue, which means that the feds should not intrude.
When and how did DOMA come about?
1996, Bill Clinton signed it into law. I don't know if you read a couple of days ago, but he now regrets that. He now regrets signing that into law.
And why did he change his mind on this?
Oh, boy, I don't know. I mean, some would say political expedience. I don't know. I have no idea. I can't get inside his head. It's just interesting, though, but he has. And Hillary Clinton has. There's a lot of people who have changed their mind on this.
Yeah, some speculate that Hillary may be running for president next time around, and that's why they have changed their mind on this issue. Because Obama did the same thing. He wasn't for it, and now he is for it.
Who knows, Jesse? But, when you get into that kind of pay level and grade, then you're way above mine. I don't know. I can't speculate. But it's just, it's interesting to watch. But you've got to realize, though, with the Supreme Court, and I hold this to be dear and true, that they're not looking at the polls or the politicians. They're supposed to be just weighing the legal analysis. They're not supposed to be looking at what we all are saying, frankly, and how the country is shifting, frankly. They're supposed to be looking at the law.
Yeah.
How do we interpret, how do we interpret the law? And let the legislative branch make the law. Let the executive branch change its mind or not. I mean, that's why we have this wonderful balance of the branches.
These are very interesting times, I have to tell you. Just amazing the change that is taking place in my country. And it's good to be alive, Lis.
Absolutely. And going into Easter and going into Good Friday, it's good to be alive. That's
I know,
for sure.
That's right. I want to ask you about your brand new book. Congratulations on your brand new book, by the way.
Thank you. A Matter of Trust. I'm so excited about it. I really, really am.
I read that is inspired, at least somewhat, by your life.
Yes. The protagonist, the heroine, is Mia Quinn, and there's a lot of me and Mia. There really is. She's a single mom. She's in Seattle, which is where I prosecuted before I moved to New York for Fox. And she's just trying to do everything. She's trying to keep her kids together and keep her, she's got a boy and a girl, trying to keep them together and keep them on the straight and narrow, trying to do the right thing, by God and by her religion and by everything else. And then she gets she's prosecuting a cyberbullying case, which, Jesse, I got to tell you, is such an important issue right now in our country. Really, really big issue. And she's trying to prosecute the cyberbullying case, and she gets a call from a friend of hers who's a colleague at the prosecutor's office. They're talking about the case. They're talking about her life and all of that and the kids. And she hears a gunshot on the other line. And she hands the phone to her son, calls 911, and runs to her friend's side. And let's just say the friend does not make it through the first chapter. And it's based on a real-life case of a prosecutor in Seattle. And, of course, it's fiction. I just go from facts and jump into fiction. And the crime there is unsolved, but Mia Quinn, in A Matter of Trust, solves the crime.
Let me take a quick break. We'll come back and tell the folks how to get the book. 888-7753-773. Lis Wiehl is with me. Back in a moment.
Sir, can you help me? It's cold and I'm nowhere to sleep. Is there somewhere you can tell me? He walks on.
Welcome back. Your Facebook and email comments are coming up in the second hour today. At the top of the second hour, talking with Lis Wiehl. She is a Fox News legal analyst and a former federal prosecutor. Brand new book, A Matter of Trust. Lis, let me ask, cyberbullying, is that a big deal right now?
Oh, really, Jesse, it is. I mean, I've got two kids, and I've seen it not so much in their lives, but around them.
Yes.
Because I'm so on top of what they do. In the olden days, a parent could read a kid's diary and know what was going on.
Yes.
Now you've got to get onto their Facebook. You've got to know what they're saying, what they're doing, and you've got to explain to them that whatever they put there will be there forever.
Yeah.
And it's really scary. And that I'm not just talking about college applications and job interviews. I mean, that's important enough, but with cyberbullying, there's real damage that's being done. You remember that Megan Myers case a couple years ago where a mom impersonated basically a boyfriend of this young girl and got on a line with her and just said, would the world be a better place if you just killed yourself? And she did.
Amazing.
I mean, it's excruciatingly painful because our kids at that age, they don't know what they're doing. They're kind of dummies in some ways,
right,
especially when it comes to that technology. And the other thing that I talk a lot about in A Matter of Trust is technology and law have not kept up together. In other words, technology is way in front of the law. We need to change our laws to make sure we can prosecute people that bully our kids on the Internet.
It's kind of hard to find these people, though, right, if they're doing this on the net.
It's very hard, although law enforcement can do it. Law enforcement can track down the URLs, they can track down all that stuff, and that's where we need good police force. We need good prosecutors who understand the technology, who are aware of what's going on, and can really, shut it down in some ways. But it's hard because, cyberbullying runs right up against the First Amendment, where we all say, of course, you and I wouldn't be on air if we didn't have the First Amendment.
That's right.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So that's, we want to support that. On the other hand, when it gets to a point where it's turning our kids into either violence or, a lot of them, they'll put stuff on. Let me just give you an example. Steubenville, Ohio. Remember this case a couple of weeks ago now? A horrible, horrible case. Where this young girl was raped by two football players.
Yes.
Right. Well, their sentence came down, and they were convicted. And then just a day or two after that, two other girls, 16-year-olds, got on social media and bullied this poor victim and saying, we're going to kill you, we're going to come after you, how dare you do this, you ruined these boys' lives. Now they're being prosecuted, and they're being held in juvenile detention.
Some kids, not all of course, seem to be meaner now than they were when I was growing up.
I know. Well, I'm 102, so I remember kids back in the Stone Age. But you know what? It was simpler then. And it was simpler then. You would call, they were like the mean girls, or a girl was popular, another girl wasn't. And, it was kind of out there. You knew it, but it wasn't posted everywhere. Nothing was anonymous. You knew who was stabbing you in the back.
Yeah.
Now you don't know that. With cyberbullying, you don't know who it is.
Also, I think back then, too, we had our parents around more than a lot of kids do now. And we knew at the time that we would get in trouble if we treated someone in an unjust way. And I think the kids get away with more now in their homes than they did in the past.
That may be true, although I got to give parents a break. I mean, we're all working so hard to, put the peanut butter and jelly on the table every day, and we have to work harder and harder to do that because our income isn't going up. as opposed to our expenses. I mean,
Yeah.
it just isn't. And, I've got one kid in college and another couple years away from that. And it's just, wow, the reality of it hits you. So, yes, parents need to be involved, but you can't blame the parents completely. It's got to be that the kids understand from the parents as role models, this is what you do and this is what you don't do. These are lines you do not cross. You don't go on Facebook or other social media and have a fight. If you want to have a fight, call the friend up, or soon-to-be ex-friend, or go over and see him and talk to them. But don't have a verbal fight on the Internet. Do not do that.
I got to ask you this, and then we'll tell the folks how to get your books, because you have more than just one for sure. I've watched you over the years. You seem to be a hard worker. You've done very well. You've grown a lot. What motivates you?
Oh, wow. That's a really good question. There's so many things. I mean, I love my children. I want to do right by them. My son and I had dinner last night. I'm going to start crying here. This is really silly. My son and I had dinner last night. We made some pasta and just sat down together. My daughter was out with some friends, and he just said, "Oh, Mom, I respect you so much." And was, "Oh, wow, you do? Really?"
That's good.
And, the kids, my kids motivate me. My parents have always taught me to go the moral course, always take the high ground, and do what's right. And then I work really hard. I study hard. You may not agree with my opinions on air all the time. That's fine, but I try to get my facts straight. I really try to bring things to people, to my friends and to people that are listening. Just try to give you what I know and what I can glean. And that's it. It's a very small, humble task.
Well, you've done an excellent job of bringing the facts to the forefront, and I can vouch for that, and I do appreciate that. Tell the folks how to get your brand new book, A Matter of Truth. Trust.
I'm so excited about it. I really tried to bring so much of my background and my history into this book. Of course, it's fiction, but I really tried to bring so much into it that this Mia Quinn, she's a heroine and she's a protagonist, but she's fallible, as we all are. We're all people. And she's struggling with faith issues and her father, and there are just so many things going on, cyberbullying, and then, of course, the murder of her colleague friend and bringing up these two kids by herself. So to answer your question, you can go to Amazon.com, you can go to BarnesandNoble.com, you can go to Thomas Nelson's, published by Thomas Nelson, so you can go to ThomasNelson.com, or any good Christian bookstore should have it. My website is Lis Wiehl, LISWIEHL, books.com. You can go there. And what I say is, if you go to a good Christian bookstore, Barnes & Noble, and you can't find it readily, I would like for you to stand up, jump up and down, make a big fuss, and then I'll come and report on it. Wouldn't that be great?
I would. I love it.
No, it's really good, and it's good, clean fun too. We're coming into Easter right now. It's the kind of thing that your kids can read, and you don't have to put a paper bag over it. You're happy that your kids are reading it. It's informative and fun. It's kind of like an Agatha Christie in 2013.
Right on. Speaking of Easter, we have a minute here. What are you doing for Easter? What are your plans?
It's funny. I have both kids home, so we're probably going to go out, and don't tell them, but I went and I got all their Easter egg hunt stuff yesterday, so I hid that. I have to, in case anyone hears. So that's hidden. And they're 20 and almost 16, so I can't really do the Easter egg hunt anymore. But I'll have the bunnies out, and we'll do some ham or roast beef or something for Easter dinner, and go to church, of course.
Right on. Well, happy Easter to you and your family.
Happy Easter.
And congratulations again on your brand new book, A Matter of Trust. Thank you for being with me, Lis.
Thank you, Jesse. Thank you so much. Happy Easter.
You too. Thanks. Okay, folks. 888-77-53-773. Back in a moment.
Then I get to thinking that it don't seem real. I'm flying through the universe in a 69 Oldsmobile.